Welcome back to the Reality Based Podcast. My guest today is none other than Tommy Robinson. Now, Tommy is the leader of the English Defence League. He's also been embroiled in many controversies over his time, including a court case recently where he won after being unlawfully arrested. We're going to get into that and plenty more. So let's get Tommy's perspective and see if it is one that's reality-based. Tommy, mate, you have had a very busy few weeks. I really appreciate you coming in.
No, it's a pleasure, man.
Before we get started, just so we can be polite with each other, what pronouns do you go by?
What pronouns? Fuck them. Every last one of them.
That's the last time I try and be nice to you, bro. So it's been a busy few weeks, man. Just for the people who haven't been following so much, for the people who haven't been intricately following what you've been going through, tell me a little bit about what the last few weeks has been like for you and what you've been going through.
Crazily, last few weeks has been the same as the previous 13 years. Yeah, it's just a lot of people watched it play out. So last few weeks, I had a court case. I faced prison. I was reporting on a demonstration on the 26th of November. I went as a journalist to report in London at an anti-Semitism rally, and I was arrested and violently attacked by the police, pepper sprayed from point blank range, whilst I was already handcuffed. I had about 30 police officers. Bearing in mind that everyone in the UK has watched the police's inability and unwillingness to tackle jihadists, terrorists, their supporters, their sympathisers, pro-Palestinian demonstrations running out of control every week. And then they come and got mob-handed and heavy-handed because I went to report. It wasn't just that I got arrested and attacked. I then got charged and prosecuted. And they attempted to send me to jail, which they failed miserably in a humiliating way when it got to court. I won the case, which was a surprise for me. I'm not used to winning court cases. I've never won a court case. I was like, people were like, it was on St George's Day, so everyone was saying, "What are you doing St George's Day?" And I was thinking, I'm going to jail, bro.
That's funny, man.
I'm making no plans for St George's Day. I'm not going to be here.
It's pretty fortuitous that it falls on St George's Day, though.
Do you know how that happened?
You must have been kind of happy with that.
Do you know how that happens?
How?
So I'm standing in the dock behind the glass screen. They're sorting out the date for trial. And as they're sorting out a date for trial, I messaged my solicitor. I said, because they said it was going to be a two-day trial. So I said, 22nd of April, yeah? Please, I need it. I'm not in the country. Any other dates? I'm here on the 22nd of April. So she stands up, we need it on 22nd of April to suit the dates when Stephen's in the country. And then they agreed to 22nd of April. I just sat there going, so 22nd, first day trial. I get my results on St George's Day. And then I messaged her saying, thank you, that's St George's Day, the 23rd St George's Day. She just looked across at me. I was like, and then they tried to adjourn it. They moved it courts as well, but they tried last minute to change the date. They're obviously realising, oh God.
Because they knew that the boys were going to come out in force.
Everyone's coming out. It's St George's Day.
Yeah. And how was it? Did you celebrate? Did you get a chance to celebrate?
No, I didn't celebrate, no. I didn't celebrate. I couldn't even enjoy the case, if I'm honest. I messaged you. I had lots of dramas going on. I had some personal dangers, I'd say, to my family and people close to me, where 2 days before the court trial, 4 cars of Muslims, visibly Muslims, wearing Muslim attire with, according to neighbours and witnesses that commented on social media, with bandanas and flags on their heads. Don't know what's going on, but nine of them in 4 cars drove to 3 properties and they flew drones over those properties. All 3 of those properties are linked to me. And unfortunately, there's innocent people in some of those properties who I had to relocate at that time. I had a woman with a daughter and a son crying her eyes out, believing they're going to be in danger or probably are in danger. So that all happened on the Saturday and on the Sunday. Then I had my court trial on the Monday, verdict on the Tuesday. I was still relocating people, not knowing what to do with my own family, not knowing what we had to do. So it was all up in the air. I didn't get a chance to celebrate. I sat and went through it all now, and obviously I had a great result. I thanked all the people who supported me. The case was insane. The police's prosecution was insane, but it's nothing different to what's gone on. I'm surprised we got the verdict. But do you know where I think the change was in this court case was citizen journalism. Everyone who's anyone as a citizen journalist in the UK was in court live reporting what was happening in the case. There was no room for the media to lie, because now these citizen journalists have all got large followers. All of them have. So there's so many different, there's some come from Wales, Mayor Tusi. There's lots of people with lots of, some of them have got 500,000 on YouTube, some of them have got 300,000 on Twitter. There's all these different people who are live reporting. So the humiliation of the police's case against me was evident for everyone. would have been impossible for a judge to rule against me once the public were getting the message out. But usually the media don't pump that side of the story. You wouldn't hear any of that. You just get Tommy Robinson convicted.
Well, the thing is that we've noticed from our channel that many people are very much in favour of what you're saying in terms of patriotism and trying to get back your country. But if you listen to the media or if you Googled your name, you'd think that you were the biggest scumbag in the world. And
hated. You'd think it's like I say, just put a camera in me and walk through a town centre. Yeah. I'm not hated. Okay, so they've branded me as toxic purposely, so that people would be too worried to even sit with me and hear my story. They've had quite a successful campaign about that. Well, I laugh sometimes in the sense that I probably face the propaganda of the entire establishment and their media, and I'm loved when I walk through the streets. So that hasn't worked. People don't trust them. People question everything. I think COVID shifted things a lot. With what happened with COVID, with the lockdowns, when people saw the media blatantly lying to them and their politicians, it then made them question everything. And then if they've lied to them about that, and then I have so many apologies every day to me. People who said, I used to hate you, I thought you were this, I thought you were that. And any chance I've had an opportunity to speak, if you take my Oxford Union address as an example, when I gave my speech at Oxford University, I walked in that room and everyone hated me.
It was a good speech, I remember that.
Yeah, they hated me. And they hated me. And then at the end, I had them all saying, I never knew that. And then what happened then was I had York University, Edinburgh University, I had about 5 universities lined up. They all cancelled. They were all forced to cancel. Because if they give us a platform, and that's why censorship is so important to them. If they give us a platform, people get to listen to the other side of the argument and actually think, well, he ain't a fascist, he ain't a racist, he ain't a Nazi. Jesus, I've been lied to.
I tell you what I've found as well, man. A lot of the people that are most cancelled are actually the best people that I've interacted with. Like just interacting with you over, I love your voice messages, by the way. Yeah, go on, mate. Yeah, go on. Tuesday, oh yeah, get on, mate.
I do everything. My life. Some people, my life is voice notes. That's all I do is voice notes.
Yeah. A lot of those people have been the coolest. But I mean, like just looking over the last 10 years, you saw the video that I covered of you, I think it was like 10 years ago or so, when there was a question time happening and you were in the audience. I've never seen a dog pile like that in my life, right? And people were just taking their chance to take pot shots at you. And it's like...
Do you know the man behind me, the Muslim counsellor?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, he's now been prosecuted and he's in jail for sexual harassment of women, yeah? The other dude, the other Muslim who was a convert who said we should put me on an island and bomb me with anthrax and got a whole cheering celebration.
I can't believe that. You can't believe that. Somebody says that they should put you on and bomb you with anthrax.
And everyone celebrated. Yeah. Everyone cheered. Do you know when I went into that studio, and this is where they mess up as well, and I think that I went in and they sat me in the audience. They invited me to the show and then put me in the audience. Didn't put me on the panel, put me in the audience. Yeah? So I'm sitting in the audience and then I knew how it was going to go. Yeah? And everyone's attacking me. And as I walk off, the producer goes, how did that go? And I said, exactly how I fucking wanted it to, mate. Yeah. And then I walked through Luton Town Centre, which is my hometown. And the woman who runs the Jack and Potato van, she went, I was screaming at the TV. And what they don't realise is the British public don't like bullying anyway, yeah? They don't like a bully. What they done that day was attempt to bully me in mass numbers. They didn't put anyone fair or representative. They had an audience ready to attack, a panel ready to attack on issues I wasn't talking about, like a Carla who likes to sound like he swallowed a dictionary, yeah? Without making many points.
Yeah.
But he kept making points about race. And it's like, I've never spoke about race. My problem is an ideology, it's Islam. Everything I spoke about that day has aged pretty well for me and terribly for them. We saw Saira Khan. Saira Khan kept saying, you're a bigot, you're a racist. I said, how? And she made a point because I started showing her death threats that I've received, yeah? And incitement to murder, kill my family. And she said, well, I don't get death threats because I'm not a bigot, yeah? And then I think I ended that on, try and talk about Islam and you will. And then 10 years later, she attempted to speak and she wore a bikini and she attempted to speak about Islamic extremism. And guess what? She got death threats and she sat on the TV talking about this one death threat and how terrible it is. But people like her are the reason. Those people in that audience and her and the entire panel, they are the reason that the British public have been intimidated into fear and the average person is scared to speak their mind because of these false labels and this attack of you're a racist, you're an extremist, without any evidence to it, just beating you down. And then she sits and plays that game and slanders people, dehumanises them, and then wants to sit on the TV and reap the reward for daring to talk about what we were trying to talk about 10 years ago.
Yeah. When you get down to the nucleus of it, I mean, sometimes I like, when I look at you, for example, I think, why do you get out of bed in the morning and do what you do? Because there's such immense risk involved. What is the thing that you're trying to fight for? What is the North Star?
So with me, remember, when I started my activism, obviously, as the media will continue to tell you, my name's not Tommy Robinson. It's Stephen Lennon, yeah? Stephen Yaxley Lennon. So I didn't want to do this. I had a very successful business, 7 properties between me and my partner at the age of 25, flying in life, yeah? And I'd grown up in Luton. So in 2004, I first organised a demonstration called Ban the Luton Taliban, where basically supporters of the Taliban and supporters of Al-Qaeda were setting up stall in my town centre every week. And they were sending people to fight against British forces. So I organised a rally against them. And I named the extremist gangs, I named the heroin gangs in the leaflet, which made the front page of Luton News, our local newspaper. In that leaflet, I spoke about two-tier policing, which is now a topic for everyone to talk about. I also spoke about grooming gangs, prostituting our daughters with drugs. Yeah, I spoke about all these issues. I faced immense attack after that at the age of 20. Yeah, I faced every Islamic gang in the town wanted me, yeah, for daring to criticise the control the drugs and the terrorism has. So, fast forward to 2009, Soldiers Homecoming. I'm now 25. I have successful businesses. I've moved on in my life, and I wanted to talk, but I knew by talking about this issue, you're going to lose everything. I wasn't thinking of the British state. I was thinking of the jihadists and the gangs. So I thought, if you talk about this, you're in trouble. You're in danger. So I used a fake name, and I wore a balaclava. I wore a mask for a year. No one knew who Tommy Robinson was. By the time I got outed in the first 6 months, and this is the ironic thing, in the first 6 months of the English Defence League, setting up an organisation and hitting the streets in our thousands, raising issues that are now commonly known, grooming gangs, all these jihadist gangs, we were talking about them when there was no acceptance that they were even there, yeah? We forced the Overton window, we shifted it, we made it acceptable to speak about it, we forced the police, we forced the government to crack down on them. But at the time, no one even knew about them. We were called fearmongers. I sat on Jeremy Paxman. Jeremy Paxman is the biggest news interviewer and the most feared for BBC Newsnight, the main political show in the UK. And when I went on his show, it hasn't aged well for him, because I was trying to tell him in 2009, 2010, this is what they're doing to our daughters. And he tried to rubbish me. And then 2015, it all become out through government reports. But I was doing that. I come under attack. So in 2000, when people don't speak up now, I was that person. I was the coward. I was scared. I was all those things. I had a job. I had a business. I didn't want to lose it. So I understand why people don't speak. And then when I started the English Defence League, I used a fake name, used a mask. And in the first 6 months, they dawn raided me 3 times. Now, what they'd done is they froze my assets. They closed my businesses and froze my assets for 4 years. Yeah, they used legislation they brought in to combat terrorism against me for trying to talk about these issues. And because of that, like, my passion as a young man was making money and being a success. That was my passion, yeah? They took that away from me. I couldn't make money. I was on an order where I couldn't spend more than £250 a week. They closed my businesses and froze my assets. I couldn't work for 4 years. What did they do by doing that? They made me the best leader of the English Defence League they could ever do. They took away everything else. I never would be sitting here now as Tommy Robinson, who's done all these things, if they hadn't, because most people weigh up. And yes, I had a love for my country and I wanted to bring about change, but I was the same. Everyone else, you have to have concerns for your family, for your future. You have to have stability. They took all that from me very early. So then I was more focused. I had the time, I had the energy, I had the time to focus, because I couldn't focus on making money. I couldn't. Yeah, I couldn't focus on business or work. I couldn't. So I become a very good leader to the English Defence League, and I become an amazing activist, because that's what I put my energy and my time into. But I was also concerned. So, and I think very deeply about all of this. I remember Soldiers Homecoming Parade. No. They were burning the poppies. So that in central London, this is it, a couple of years into my activism with the English Defence League. I remember coming up, I get arrested. They're setting fire to poppies and they're screaming, British soldiers burn in hell. On our Remembrance Day, our 2-minute silence, they are disrupting it. When I say they, Al Mujahideen, who are now a prescribed terrorist organisation, but this is the group who we headed up against. They're an Islamic radical jihadist group, but they weren't prescribed, just like they've now prescribed Hizb ut-Tahrir. These groups weren't prescribed until we started challenging them and making the government take aware, making them aware of them and making them do something. And I remember coming home, I got nicked. I actually got charged for assaulting a police officer again. If you watch the video, they're flying an ISIS flag, which people now know an ISIS flag. I jump over a fence and I grab the flag off them, yeah? Because that's a terrorist flag. In my country, you're disrupting a 2-minute silence, you're committing a crime. And I jumped in and I got arrested and prosecuted. I remember coming home and my ex-wife now and her mum and her nan were there. And bearing in mind, I'd probably been arrested 3, 4, 5 times, dawn raids in the first year of this activism, or 2 years. And I sat down and her nan said, it's too late. Why are you fighting this?
Yeah.
Why are you fighting this? And I said, if everyone had that attitude, we'd all be speaking German, yeah? And I think deeply, and if you look at history and you look at what previous generations to us went through, you look at 14-year-old boys pretending they were 16, pretending that they were older so they could run and fight. What were they running and fighting for? They were fighting for a nation. We didn't used to be selfish people. We used to think of the country. We used to think of the community. Now everyone looks at themselves. I've had my mate say it. When we set up the English Defence League, my mate said, I'm all right, bruv. Yeah, I'm in the village. I've made a few quid. I'm fine. I said, I say this every time. Imagine the discussions I had with my ex-wife. She used to say this. She said, what about the kids? What about us? And I used to say, and I don't want my kids ever resenting me or thinking that I don't love them because I do, and I do everything I do because of them. But I said, this isn't solely about my children. It's not about me or my kids. There's an entire generation coming through that's freedoms are affected, that safety's affected. No one can look at Great Britain and say we're a better place now than we were 15, 20 years ago. Every year that goes on, terrorism goes up 60%. Everything gets worse. Violence, the level of violence now that is a custom and normality every day. You know why we're on the way here? A man with a machete, a samurai sword.
Like a samurai sword, yeah.
He just jumped out and stabbed 4 people.
He didn't look 15.
He don't look 15, no. He's probably a migrant who arrived here last week and said he's 15.
That's crazy.
When you look at some of these cases, even in the migrant cases, it's the level of insanity. And again, so as I said, the reason I do it is I look deeply, I think very deeply, I think about where we're at as a nation, I think about this, I think we're in a historic moment. I think it's make or break for our future, for democracy, for everything. There's 1,000 years of English Christian history, 1,000, yeah? It's going to be desecrated in 30 years, 40 years so far. It's being destroyed.
Yeah,
we are being replaced, and our country, as it is never going to be the same. We have to stand up against it. So
did you see the other day that the Dutch girl Eva Vlaardingbroek?
Brilliant speech.
She did a great. But this is the kind of stuff that you've been talking about for quite a while, and this is the kind of stuff that the cancelled people have been talking about for a while. And now it's like 50 million views on Twitter, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, what a groundbreaking speech!"
Yeah.
A lot of people have been saying this for a while, that the greatest civilizations to ever exist, which is Christian European civilizations, are being replaced and they're being destroyed. And you've only got the last vestiges of it, like Poland, who have just been taken over by the left. Hungary are still doing okay, but
they'll cause. The European Union will fund, and George Soros, etc. Viktor Orban's very, very staunch against it, but they will fund disruption in his nation.
I saw it. I was there last year, and I saw it. We were walking around and looking at these beautiful buildings, old architecture. They're quite communitarian and very Christian. It's a beautiful country, and then you see these like rainbow flags and all of these trans flags and all of these sorts of things, and it's like there's a colour revolution around the corner in this country, and
it's going to be funded and planned.
Yeah,
and that's funded and planned to topple. He is the. I always say Western European leaders were always looked upon as who we look to for Europe. If you listen closely and you follow what Viktor Orban's saying, he is the front line of the defence of Christianity. And he is on that front line. And to be honest, if you look through history, it's Eastern Europe that's been on the front line many times before. This is nothing new. The Polish Fusiliers in the Battle of 1638 at the gates of Vienna. It's like, and Poland, I think they're going to have 4 years of help now. But I think the difference is, you see, where it's coming to a head now, have you seen what's happening in the Republic of Ireland?
Yep.
Republic of Ireland and Poland. These countries, with the UK, it's been chip. It's happened gradually over 40, 50 years. Yeah? The immigration's been gradual. Before you know it, towns and cities are taken over. Muslims run the gangs, the criminality, the drugs in most towns and cities now, yeah? They have a very strong foothold. For people to stand up against them is pretty difficult, yeah? That's not the case in Ireland. You've flooded that country very quick, very fast in 3 years. The Irish will resist this.
You don't want to mess with the Irish, man.
Well, you watch... I said it last year. I run over there. I went there quickly. I made a documentary called Plantation 2, Rise of the Celts.
Yep.
I wore a hidden camera and I went into Ireland and I spoke to women on the streets to get the truth off them. So when I went up to women on the streets and said... how do you feel now that they've housed lots of migrants there? Each woman was, I'm terrified. We can't walk to work. I have to get my husband to pick me up. My friend was sexually assaulted. The one girl we met was violently battered and attacked by a migrant. And every girl you spoke to spoke like that. Then I said, okay, and they don't know I'm recording them. I said, I'm a journalist from the UK. Can I just get this on camera? No. That is, so do we need an attack on freedom of speech, or do we need laws that limit freedom of speech? Does the European Union need to bring in these laws, or our countries, to end freedom of speech? No, they've already ended it. The fear of speaking, self-censorship, we're there now. No one says what they think. People follow me. I say what I think and I say what other people think. We're at a level of self-censorship where even if it's to keep your position on a platform, even if it's people are fearful of being demonetised, which is legitimate fears, I get it. As I said, I was that person. I was the person.
It is a fear, man. Like, I could get demonetised for literally this interview.
You could.
Apparently, we have to call you Robbie Tomlinson on YouTube.
Well, that's what I respect anyone who's sitting having these discussions. I think these discussions now I've seen are more acceptable to be had because of people like Eva as well. She's burst onto the world stage, man. She's done a fabulous job. She has done fabulous.
She's doing it, but there is a big problem here in terms of white Christian European countries also have a very low birth rate. And this is a big problem. And you look at Hungary, for example, and one of the great things that Viktor Orban's doing is he's got a lot of pronatal policies.
Encourage the family. He's paying them to be married. He's paying them for children.
But apparently this is not an okay thing to do or say. But you find that when you travel around the world enough, and a lot of people don't really travel enough to understand this, every single time you go to other countries like Japan, South Korea, countries like this, Middle Eastern countries, very, very nationalistic and ethnocentric. White people, though, are not allowed to do this.
No, we come under attack for it.
Yeah.
We come under attack for it. Now, in Hungary, but we have a decline in birth rate, but that's planned as well. All of this, the attack on the family, the promotion of LG. I saw a statistic said 20% of American youth believe they're LGBTQ+, 20% of the new generation, 20%. Now, that is not reality. That is indoctrination. You have confused a generation of children and you're promoting and pushing it on vulnerable children from the age of 5 and 6 now in schools. So all these attacks on the family, all this breakdown of the family, the promotion of LGBT is all to limit our birth rate and limit the spread of our communities. And this attack. And then you're replacing, it's like when Angela Merkel, because of the birth rate in Germany, she tried to justify letting in a million undocumented Syrian Muslim refugees or economic migrants. She let them in and they tried to justify it for this reason, with decline in birth rate.
Yeah.
Well, encourage the family, support the family. Don't encourage the breakdown of the family. You encourage Planned Parenthood. This all the ideas you're encouraging.
Sometimes I wonder, though, you say it's planned, and I do tend to agree with you about this, but I also do think that these people are pretty stupid as well and are pretty scared as well, because why would you not just encourage a higher birth rate? Why would you not put pronatal policies in place? Is it just because they're scared to be nationalistic? In Germany, for example, these guys are the most self-flagellating country in the world. They've got so much like World War II guilt that they feel like they have to bring in all of the immigrants and show how friendly they are.
I'd say it's a mixture of the two, but I'd say the reason it's planned is because they wish to replace us. We're a successful demographic, yeah? We want success. I think, again, COVID showed this. They wanted the destruction of the middle class, destruction of small business, mass corporations take over. Many of the people they're bringing in, and many of the minority communities, yeah, the Islamic ones especially, are quite happy to be reliant on the state. We're not, yeah? We want to succeed. We want further. We want better. We want more. Yeah. And they don't want us having more. They want everyone at a low slave rate, everyone earning low minimal wage and working for mass corporations so that the 1% continue going up and the rest of us get extremely poorer. So I think there is a conservative effort to replace the hardworking European populations of their countries. And whilst they do that, whilst they bring in mass immigration, especially from Islamic countries, and I've clashed with them and I've clashed over the ideas, I think that's used as a weapon against us as well. Because the breakdown of the community, yeah, in every town and city, as people move out, as people spread, that community spirit, that community that would fight for each other is breaking and has broken. The family unit, you take away the father, the children, you take away the father, which they've had a massive effort to do. You take away the father, they want the system to bring your children up. They want the state to bring your children up. That way they can pollute their minds. I've got 3 children. None of them are LGBTQ+. None of them will ever have their pronouns because they've had a strong father figure. Yeah? You take away that father father figure, you leave them susceptible. And I look at all these kids that are saying they're trans at 9 and 10 and think that's your fault to the parent.
Oh, yeah.
You have not had the influence that you should have had. Whether it's because you and your wife have been working every hour under the sun because they've convinced you that's what your wife should be doing, when in reality, she should be the mother. Yeah.
Yep.
She should be the guidance for that child.
Yep.
And you as a father have to have an influence on them.
Yep.
And I think that all of this is a total mixture of things that have happened, which have caused the feminisation of the men of the West. We are now, or the new generation. I think there's 60 transgender children in my son's year. There's 450 pupils. 60. What have you done? This is a ticking time bomb. You're creating a weak, feminised, indoctrinated generation that are coming out. If anyone can't see what's happening in Columbia University, the best universities in the world now in the United States, look at what they're doing. Look at these people, this ideology that you've promoted and you've allowed it. And I think that we have to take responsibility as fathers. We should be making sure our children are brought up in the right way. And the total attack on Christianity, the total attack on the family, all of these things, what's replacing it? And it's a state-pushed ideology that's weak, feminised, and pushes their narratives.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of the things that Andrew Tate talks about quite a bit in terms of reinstalling masculinity so that you're not like a slave to the matrix, as he calls it. And I tend to agree with that, because if you want to break down the front line, if you want to break down the defense of the people, then you have to break down the men, and you have to make weak feminized men. And
but then when they've made weak feminized men, and then they've imported strong masculine men.
Yeah.
Many of these men from Middle Eastern cultures, they have their own ideas on masculinity, and you have to admire at times their stance on a lot of these issues. Yeah, they're not going to back down. They're not going to bend.
Well, this is one of the things I often say about that. It's like we could really take a leaf out of their book. When you saw in Qatar with the World Cup, they tried to fly the gay flags,
and they're all clapping. When Germany went out, they're all just clapping. Well, it's like you do have to applaud it. I think that the family unit within Islam, they don't leave their parents in old age people's homes. Yeah, they have a strong family unit, a strong family identity. Yeah, and at times you can be envious of the way their community is strong and together. Does that make everything in Islam good? No. Andrew Tate talks about escaping the slavery of the matrix, but he's joined the slavery of Islam. If he wanted to now say he wasn't a Muslim, he couldn't. Yeah, it's a club you can join. You can't leave, right? You know why you can't leave? Because they'll want to kill him more than they want to kill me.
Yeah.
So as an influencer, which Andrew is, Andrew's from my hometown. I know him, before all of this. As an influencer, you have to know that what you're telling the people to do is the right thing to do. And some people will go on and convert to Islam and become radical extremists and probably jihadists. So I don't think Islam is the answer to any of our problems. Islam is filling a void. It's filling a void and becoming attractable to many people because Christianity is seen so weak and pathetic. But if Christianity was always so weak and pathetic, it wouldn't still be here. This is the new Christianity. I believe many of the people who have infiltrated the church don't even believe in Christianity or Jesus. They're pushing their Marxist ideas. They're using the institutions of the church to push their ideologies of LGBTQ+, like the Pope bringing 200 ladyboys to the Vatican. It's insane. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, well, the destruction of Christianity is one of the great devastations of the world.
But they need to destroy it.
Oh, absolutely.
The Marxist ideology wants to destroy it. The attack on the family, the attack on Christianity. So I think Andrew Tate would have been far better just being a strong Christian and being a leader to Christian men and being a leader to the true history of where he's come from. That's what I wish he would have done. Hope one day he does do.
I really wish he did, man. I really wish he did. Well, you grew up in the same town as him in Luton. You guys are a pretty similar age as well. Did you know each other before you were both famous?
Yeah.
Yeah? What was it like? What were the Tate brothers' reputation back in the day?
They have a good reputation. I say this to everyone who hates them or says anything. I say, no one's got a bad word to say about them. Very confident. Andrew always has been. Very abrupt. Like Andrew, I could go back to a Mother's Day post he put on. This is going back 20 years, He put it on Facebook. And I just used to laugh my head off, because he was a world champion. He was the best in his field. He is dedicated to whatever he wants to do. He is very successful in what he wants to do. And he put up a post saying, it's Mother's Day today. Did you get your mum flowers? Did you buy her chocolates? Send her a little message? Hi, Mum, happy Mother's Day. And he listed everything that you would have done. Yeah. He said, if you did, you're a fucking loser. You are a failure of a son. Yeah. You failed your mother. You're a piece of shit. Yeah. This was his post. Yeah? And I was sitting there reading it, and people were going mad. And he said, do you know what I done today? I said, Mum, how much money do you earn a year? She said, £20,000. I sent her 10 years wages and said, take the next 10 years off, Mum. Yeah. I'm a real son. That's what a son does. The rest of you lot, you failed. Yeah. So Andrew's always been controversial, always said things that upset people, always, I'd say at times, trolled a bit as well, yeah?
A bit, yeah.
A bit as well.
Of course.
But people take every word, and even now they're taking every word of what Tristan said. And I'd say that there was a time there where Andrew Tate is quite open about being successful and caring about himself. He don't care. Yeah, it's about him. Yeah. And he's been successful. And so when people attack him, I know people who train with him every day as training partners, people in his gym. I think Amir's a Bosnian Muslim, the trainer of that gym. Again, in Luton, he has a fabulous reputation. Amir does as well. From anyone who knows him says, mate, he's a great, great man. So he become, I believe, a mentor to who Andrew Tate has become in being the strong man that he is. Because I don't believe at school Andrew was like this when he was younger. Or his brother. They developed themselves into being these strong men after leaving school.
Yeah, I mean, just as somebody who's got a bit of a boxing background myself, and I know you've been in the gym as well, for somebody who gets to the level of being a world champion kickboxer, you've automatically got my respect.
That's what
unequivocally.
But unequivocally in the fighting realm, he has the respect. But I don't know anyone who had anything negative to say about him other than that anyway. When I used to ask him out, people would say he's a bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Do you know, so confident of himself. Well, he can be. He can be.
I think there's nothing wrong with ego.
No, ego, a big ego.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. He's four times world champion. He's the best in his field, and he's worked every day because I think he lived in that gym to get to that stage. Yeah. So he dedicated himself to it.
Is there any stories from back in the day that people wouldn't know about from the ends in Luton, from the estate? Any fight stories or? They probably went out in the streets, eh?
No, I hear some. No, they weren't really. No, they weren't involved.
They were just training.
Yeah,
that's the good thing about martial arts.
When I hear some people talk about drugs and things like that, I think they weren't involved in drugs.
Yeah.
They were good kids.
Yeah, well, that's the good thing about martial arts. It's like if you go and get in a street fight and then you go to your boxing gym and you start to say, oh, yeah, I got in a street fight, everyone will be like, what are you doing? Yeah. What the fuck are you doing that for? I mean, yeah.
And they look down upon you. So, yeah, they weren't... as I said, I know lots of people very extremely close for their whole life to the Tates who speak very highly the whole time. Even like when all this stuff blew up about in the house out in Romania, my mate I grew up with is Rory Sinnett, yeah? I don't know if you know Rory. So he lived with the Tates. I rang him up and said, Bob, what's going on? What's this about? Like, I said, tell me. And he goes, it's bullshit, mate. Because I'm telling you, now you have to remember that when this blew up against the Tates, I saw things being said which I know to be factually 100% correct. Yeah? From people who are making allegations against the Tates at an event where I was there. I saw what happened. Yeah, I was in the hotel. Yeah, so I know then that someone is selling a story as a lie. Yeah, and it's not that and a lot of my supporters hate the Tates. Yeah, a lot of my supporters, because of their conversion to Islam, and not just their conversion to Islam, but many of the comments that they've made. Even recently, he made comments about white people having babies. I don't see what was wrong with the comments he made.
I thought he was correct.
He is correct.
Yeah.
And he got come under mass attack. Yeah. And I listened to it and thought, yeah, he's right. Man, yeah. A lot of the people I listened to making these comments as well, yeah, especially on this they call themselves anti-Zionist side, who call me a Zionist and all that. I think, well, how many kids have you even got? Yeah, you're here screaming about all this. You ain't even doing your part. Yeah. So, but Andrew made lots of things he says are controversial. I think many of the things at times are probably purposely controversial.
Yeah. I think one of the things I do appreciate though is that you guys still maintain a respect for each other. And this is one of the things that gets lost these days. It's like if you have one disagreement about something, all of a sudden you hate each other. But real men don't operate like that. Real men can speak to each other about their differences and then still have a mutual respect for each other.
I saw people going mad at him recently when I got off of my court case, yeah, going mad at him and then Tristan come out and Tristan said, shut up, I talk to who I want to. Basically, he'd done a longer post, which was more articulate than that, but shut up. And Tristan said, I've been to his house, I've met his kids. What are you talking about? Yeah. So, and again, we could have strong disagreements. I have many friends. One who says to me every week, yeah, I have a friend who's Muslim as well. And his mum's a Muslim, dad's Christian, yeah. So brought up, And he's I see him at every Luton game. Yeah, he's one of the nicest men you'll ever meet. Yeah, a lovely bloke, and a great dad and a great family man. And I see him last week, and I was talking to him at the football, and he said, "Oh mate, do you know after we were talking by the stairs, I went into work and some bloke pulled me and said, 'What are you talking to that racist prick for?' He goes, 'I'm like, you don't even know him. I've known him all my life. Yeah, he's a good man. Yeah, we disagree strongly on our ideas. Yeah, obviously I talk about the religion that his mother follows. Yeah." We have a strong disagreement, but we both still have a mutual respect for each other and like each other, and I'd say love each other. Yeah, and we've grown up together. It's the same with Andrew Tate. I felt disappointed in many of the things. He has not shown one bit of backing down or any sign. I can tell you, in my battle against the establishment, in my imprisonments, in my cases, in the constant fear and the worry of what they're doing, at times it's brought me to a dark, dark place.
Mate, I can imagine, yeah.
With Andrew, I'm like, he doesn't seem to, bruv. I messaged him, he goes, no. And I said, I remember at the time I said, are you all right? Are you all right? Yeah, are you all right? I'm asking you seriously, are you? I'm fucking fine. No, he hasn't shown any... I just sit there and go, I'm like, bruv, he's a machine. And I remember after what did I feel? I messaged his brother actually after he refused to condemn Hamas. I messaged his brother saying, "Brother, what's going on, man? Like, what is going on?" Like, that I wouldn't say that's Andrew Tate. I know him. I wouldn't say after watching him for years or knowing him, I wouldn't say that. I don't know if he's put himself in a position by the conversion to Islam. He feels now he has a base that he can't upset. But he would condemn that, I believe. Usually the actions.
I mean, it's bizarre when people can't do it and just come out and.
Do you know what he said? Because when you look at either side, this side don't believe that, and this side don't believe that. So if you would have just said, well, if that happened, and if that was Hamas, and if they did rape those women, yeah, it's barbaric. Like, that's what. But again, he's in a position. So and again, even when he converted and. They will want to absolutely destroy him. They won't want to just imprison him. They want to leave him with nothing. They want to set an example to him to the world. They cannot allow him. They've spent billions demasculating a population. Billions
and
feminising.
One guy comes along
and says, get up, get in the gym, yeah? And every little school child is walking around giving his symbol. I mean, he got into the children, my son's age at school. They adore him.
Yeah, I love it. I'm all for it. And people always criticise me for this because I've covered him a lot of times on my channel and the interviews that he's done. But I like to look at people just objectively and think, is this a net positive or a net negative? And I like to think that people are smart enough to be able to watch him and realise where he's being hyperbolic.
But they don't.
But realise what, maybe some don't, but I like to think that people can watch and be like, all right, well, that's a little bit hyperbolic. He's being a troll here and there. But this, you peel back the layer, really good message underneath.
And do you know how no one read the messages of the people whose lives he saved? No one reads those messages of people who are depressed and in the gutter. And I mean, I read a lot. There's so many who he has brought from here up to here because they want them on antidepressants. They want them fat. They want them overweight. Yeah, it's the best message you can give young boys now is get in the gym. My son, I've done a before and after picture from when he started listening to Andrew Tate. He turned into a machine.
I met a Russian guy last year. Me and Vinny were in Thailand. And this is just one story, and I've met plenty of them, right? And he was massively overweight and he was really in debt and just depressed. And then we started talking, and then this thing happens when you're talking to a guy when you're like, you a Tate fan? Yeah, Tate fan. and then he starts telling me, yeah, started to listen to Andrew Tate, got my finances together, got in the gym, started traveling. And it's like, especially females don't really understand the kind of fire that it can light under your ass when you have that sort of masculine role model, especially with guys who live in this pussified world right now.
With no father as well.
And they don't even understand what they want. They don't really understand what they're lacking if they've got no father or no strong male role models. And then they hear this stuff and they're like, something in their biology just goes, okay, yeah, no, I identify with this.
And they're looking at him. He looks great. He's got everything.
Yeah.
He is the man. And you know, look, I said to my son, Tate's a billionaire. I said, he's not. Okay. So if we take that he said on TV he's a billionaire, of course he's overselling it. He probably may have got to that point soon, yeah? But at the start, he's selling courses to people to tell them how to be a man. Yeah. So when he's talking about women and certain things, he's exaggerating certain things as a character, I'd say. Then they're trying to use that to prosecute and finish him. It's like, mate, it's like, not if that wasn't true what he said, how can you take everything he says that's true?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And he's sort of building a profile. He's done it very successfully. Some people, yeah. I said I'm hoping to sit down with Tay in May. It was meant to be May, so I'm just going to message him again because his lawyers warned him against it.
You're going to head over to Romania?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good, man. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I'd like to see it. I think the whole internet would like to see it.
Yeah. Have the debate, because me, for example, I'm so sick of talking about the Israel-Palestine conflict. I don't really talk about it too much. Piers Morgan's totally ruined it.
He goes back and forward with me. He says, nah, bruv. He's in messages, he said, like, I said, nah, bruv, I don't see that.
Yeah. I'd like to see you guys just sit down and hash it out, because I think it'd be a good opposing perspectives. But one thing that you guys do really have in common, if you look at Twitter these days, it's you're both Israeli intelligence.
It's Tate Mossad as well.
Have you seen they cropped a photo of him?
Oh yeah, and they put it with a picture
with the Star of David and like the Yiddish, and
he got the picture that they cropped. But do you know what they've done with me? Like, I went to Israel. I went there probably 7 years ago. Yeah, I went there, and when you're in Israel, they have souvenir shops. So I bought a Mossad t-shirt. If I was in Mossad, would I be wearing a fucking Mossad t-shirt? It's like when I went to New York, I bought a New York Police Department t-shirt.
Yeah.
It didn't mean I'm in New York Police Department. Yeah. But because it suits. And I said, and I had, who did I go on recently? What's the girl's name? The American girl in London, who's the anti-feminist. Yeah, Pearl.
She was here yesterday.
Was she?
Yeah. We did an interview yesterday. She's a good girl.
Yeah, same. I thought she was a good girl. I like anyone who doesn't back down. Yeah. So I respect, even if I disagree with people's ideas, even Muslims, I think he don't back down. Yeah, I respect him on, he believes what he says. He doesn't really care about the effect. He doesn't care about, he's not bothered. He's like, yeah, that's what I believe. But with Pearl, so I said to Pearl, because people go, yeah, he was funded by Israel. So I said, Pearl, you've earned money from YouTube advertisement, right? Yeah. The two lead people in YouTube are these two gentlemen who are both Zionist Jews, which means you're funded by Zionist Jews.
Oh, fuck.
That's what it means. It's the same with you.
Damn it.
That's it. But that's what it means. So, I mean, the attacks against me. I worked for Rebel Media in 2015. Rebel Media are a Jewish, or Jewish owned, like Ezra's Jewish, but they're a media outlet in Canada. And they receive funding by a gentleman called Shillman, who... I was on £5,000 a month from Rebel Media, as a journalist. Good wage. I was the best journalist there was. So I deserved it. I was receiving that funding, but I've never met Shillman. He's an American, and he gives Rebel Media funding. But then because of that, they've said that I then work for him. Not that I care anyway. If he wants to give me money, I'll take his money. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? For my work. So I've never been paid to influence my opinion on any of the issues. I say what I believe. I say what I've researched, and I say what I see. I believe jihad is the biggest problem, and I believe Hamas are a large jihadist organisation.
And I think it makes sense from your perspective, because you are living in the UK, and one of the big problem in the UK is the mass immigration, the demographic change in the UK, and the things that you're talking about. Perhaps in other regions of the world we could have a different conversation. If we're talking about America and the influence that Israel has on American politics, that would be a different conversation.
That's where they're coming from. But then I believe there's an Iranian pushed agenda to get the Christians of the Bible Belt in America to align with the Islamic community on this issue. That's what I see happening. Yeah.
But the Christians of America are very much Christian Zionists. So that's a massive thing in America.
But now there's there's large influencers who I believe are being paid to influence that another way. The anti-Jew movement now, which is since October 7th, those on the far right have aligned with the Islamists together to hate.
There's a few strange bedfellows happening for sure. When you look at the Islamic Queers for Palestine thing.
I watched last week as one of the biggest far right anti-Jew Nazis in the UK is sitting on a podcast with one of the biggest Islamist people in the UK, and they're sitting there having a friendly discussion about Israel and Jews because they both hate Israel and Jews. But this one wants to implement Sharia on our whole country, and this one hates everyone that's not white, and he wants every one of them removed. But here they've found something to align on and join on, and they're joining together because they hate Jews.
Yeah, that strange bedfellow. Like for me, I like Western culture. I like Christian European culture. I'm a Christian. I don't have any allegiance to Jews, and I don't have any apparently I'm paid by Zionists.
Are you as well?
but no.
Everyone who says anything someone don't like is like, yeah, you're Mossad.
You know what someone said in my comments the other day? They go, Jake, is his name Jacob? Probably a gatekeeper. They call me a gatekeeper. But,
controlled opposition. Well, you will be after this interview.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, like, I don't really have any allegiance to anybody besides Christianity. I want to see the revival of Christianity. I want Christian European culture to increase their birth rates, and I want for them to be in charge of the world because I believe it's the most benevolent force in the world. So I don't have any allegiance to anybody else. That's just the way I see it.
I get it. And people said you didn't have to take a side. They said to me, you don't have to take a side. I think, well, I did. Because Hamas come out after October 7th on October 8th and said, yeah, next is Europe. So it's the Jews today. They say Saturday first, then comes Sunday. That's their saying. Saturday first is the people, the Jews, and then Sunday's the Christians. They haven't got their eyes set on Israel. Yeah, they've got their eyes set on the world. Worldwide domination, a caliphate state. That's Hamas's goal. So I just see that if they were to conquer Israel, let's pretend they did. Yeah? Let's pretend all the Islamic barbaric shitholes around Israel decide to win the war, and they did win the war. When they killed 1,400 Jews, look at how much they were empowered across the Western world. Look at them on the streets, hundreds of thousands of them, calling for Gassans and Jews, calling for jihad. If they were to successfully take over Israel, you think they stop there? Do you think they stop there?
I think it's a very complicated conversation because I do believe that USA have made some very, very foolish choices in terms of their foreign policy and in terms of the role that they've played in destabilizing. Yeah, same with England as well, in destabilizing places like Iraq and Syria. And I think that there's also quite a good argument to say that Israel has had quite an effect in influencing American politics in destabilizing places in the Middle East.
Yeah, but so Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, they absolutely.
So Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, but yeah.
So Saudi Arabia. So it's like, so Saudi Arabia. I agree. I wholeheartedly believe that Tony Blair should be brought to justice for the illegal invasion of Iraq. We were lied to. The public were lied to. We were radicalised. We were made to support an unjust invasion of an Islamic country. And I fully understand why the Muslim population are outraged by what happened. Yeah. It should be. He is a war criminal. Yeah. And exactly the same happened with Gaddafi, I believe. Yeah. They took out Gaddafi. By taking out Gaddafi, they opened up
Exactly right.
the floodway to Europe.
Exactly right.
To mass flood Europe. I believe the same with Syria. When Christians were safe under Assad, then they want to get rid of Assad. Why don't they want to get rid of Assad?
And Saddam as well.
And Saddam. Why don't they want to get rid of Assad? They want to get rid of Assad because Saudi want rid of Assad. Yeah, we're fighting their wars. Yeah, at the same time. So all of this is happening. We're funding and funding ISIS. Because it supported us because they wanted rid of Assad without a care in the world, even now with what's happening in Ukraine. They do not have a care in the world for the hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian men who have been killed. They don't give a shit. We don't see their bodies. We don't hear anything about them. They don't care. They are cannon fodder because they want to get rid of Putin. Yeah, they're all cannon fodder. So, and I think all of these same people, when people are crying out, so I have a view, I believe at times the British government and the American government have been the biggest terrorists in the world. Yeah, that doesn't mean I hate the American population or the British population. The same way I can draw a differentiate between the Jews who live in Israel and the Israeli state who control it, the government who control it. Just like I can draw a difference between the American population who love their country and Joe Biden. Joe Biden's put them into conflicts and funding wars, and that's not what the American people want. Some of the things
I just look at it and it just pisses me off because the last 25 years or so, there's been so many terrible decisions made that have made the Islamic world, like obviously not all of them, but there's certain factors of the Islamic world that hate, like the Houthis' slogan is death to America.
They cheer it every day in school in Iran.
They mean that shit.
They sing it. Yeah, they sing it every day in Iran.
Yeah, they mean that shit. And we're in a position now where the future looks very bleak. I was watching an interview with John Mearsheimer and Piers Morgan the other day, and I kind of had to agree with him that the future of international politics looks very bleak. On Ukraine, though, one thing that I will say, one thing that they don't care about is the amount of Ukrainian women that are being sold into sexual slavery as well. All of these women who are being brought over the borders from Ukraine and are being sold into sexual slavery, but this is something that nobody really talks about because
child trafficking. Ukraine was the hub for it.
Yeah,
Ukraine's history is the most corrupt country in Europe.
Yep.
It was used to launder all the Joe Biden's money. It was where all the elite laundered their money for years, and probably why they couldn't allow Putin to get an influence there because of the history that could have been told. Probably.
Yeah, Ukraine is the hub for human trafficking. It's the hub for arms trafficking. Yeah. And then you look at Joe Biden's son Hunter's relationship with Burisma, which is a big multinational corporation in Ukraine. If people can look at those facts alone and then say,
and then fly a Ukraine flag, you mugs.
Yeah.
Stick a Ukraine flag. So we're all cheering for Ukraine. It's like, what are you doing? You're cheering for war. You're cheering for all those innocent people to get killed. I see it. We instigated that. They elected a government. It was an elected government who decided for close relationship with Russia. We then funded a coup, probably similar to what we're going to want to do in Hungary. Yeah, we funded a coup because we needed rid of that government. There was an 8-year civil conflict funded by us. 60 Russians were set on fire and burned alive in one day. No one faces prosecutions. You banned the speaking of Russian overnight across the country when millions of people speak Russian. You encourage, we're still encouraging now, discrimination against Russian people. You've done that to justify the anger, and you blame everything so that you can justify and radicalise the population to supporting your murderous campaign.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and it winds me up because I see so many people think, if you're flying a rainbow flag, you're usually flying a Ukraine flag, a European Union flag, and you hate Tommy Robinson. They're the 4 golden ones. It's like, I get a message of hate, sometimes a Celtic flag. Sorry, not to all you Celtic fans, yeah, but sometimes a Celtic flag as well. So I look and think, okay, I see someone commenting, and I click on their profile, and it's always, and usually got a vaccine symbol as well.
Got to be vaxxed, bro, as well.
Got to be vaxxed. It's all the same. It's the same shit. Black Lives Matter, pro-Palestine. It's the same groups, the same movements, the same radicalisation.
One of the things I do think is reasonably reasonably positive about what's happening in Europe is some of the populist movements. We've just seen, what's that Dutch
Geert Wilders, man.
Geert Wilders. That guy's based.
Bruv, Geert Wilders flew into, when I was in jail in 2017, I'll send you the speech. It's an amazing speech. He gave a speech speaking out for me, yeah, saying free him now, going through all the stuff I'd done and calling me a hero, and now he's elected, now he won the election. When we look at Europe, I remember when I started my activism in Sweden, I went recently to meet a lad called Kent, who's a Swedish politician for the Swedish Democrats. And when I started my activism, they had 1.5% of the vote. They're now between 20 and 25% of the vote. Yeah? They are us. Geert Wilders is us. So Geert Wilders' politics is actually strong. Ban the Quran. He says if Mein Kampf is banned, I think Mein Kampf is 9% Jew hate. The Quran is 17%, yeah, if I recall that rightly, yeah. So he says if one's banned, why is the incitement to murder in this one not banned? He wishes mass deportations. He's been a very strong leader, and now it's got to the point where he's been elected as he won the election. Because of the system there, they have about 20 parties. I don't know if they're going to form a coalition, but if they don't form a coalition, it goes to a vote again. He's predicted to win another 9 politicians because people are fed up. I think Philip de Winter from Vlaams Belang will win the next Belgium election. He's the same. Yeah. Marie Le Pen. I don't know if a few weeks ago in France, an imam from Tunisia held the French flag, and he said this is a satanic flag. Within 8 hours, his door was kicked off, and he was deported on a plane. Yeah?
Good.
But that's never happened. Why has that happened? Why has Macron done that? He's done that because he knows the country's turned. He knows the population want action.
It's because his husband would be pissed off.
Have you gone down that rabbit hole?
Oh, of course.
Oh, I've been down the ball, man. Everyone's a ladyboy.
Yeah, I know.
Everyone.
It's weird.
All European leaders are married. Not much European leaders, even bloody Barack Obama, they're all with men.
Big Mike.
Big Mike is mental.
Big mama.
People think you're mad. You're mad. You're mad if you don't read it, if you don't look into it. They're all men. And ugly men.
Yeah, I know. There's no photos of her as a young... and
there's no history of her.
I tell you what, there's something going on there.
But do you know what it is? I spoke to recently an MP, Member of Parliament in the UK. And he spoke about the DUP leader in Northern Ireland, who's now been arrested for, I believe, the allegations with his wife of both of them abusing children together. Yeah, that's what I believe. Yeah. What he said is that it's the select committee for the politicians, yeah? They usually select gay people because they know gay people are more likely to be involved in abuse, yeah? So they pick people who have a degenerate background because then they have the dirt on them that they want. So by allowing, if Barack Obama did marry a man who is transgendered, they've got it all on him already. Same with Macron. Macron come from nowhere, didn't he? Macron just come from nowhere and won the election. Boom. Like, who the hell is this guy? Won the election. And again, there's no history of his wife growing up. I think it's the brother, isn't it?
Photos of...
It's the brother, isn't it?
Oh, but I don't know, man. They could be lizards at this stage, bro. I don't know. I don't know what's happening.
But if you haven't been down those rabbit holes, you probably think we're mad. Go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, go down. Rumble.
Get on there, start looking and questioning. The sad state of affairs is where we're at now. You've got to question everything.
Oh, man.
And when people start questioning everything, they question us. They question everything. There's an imam. I don't know if you've seen him, Wassim Kempston. Oh, mate, look him up, yeah? It's me.
Yeah.
It's me, yeah? Like, when I first saw a picture of him, I thought, that's photoshopped really well, yeah? And then I found a video of him. I thought, Jesus Christ, and I was shocked. I sent to my mum, I said, Mum, it's me. Like, it's a Muslim imam, and he's me. Yeah? It's literally a double for me.
Oh, as in he looks like you?
He looks like me. It's a double.
Different views? Or
Oh, totally. He's an imam. He's a Salafist imam. But if you look at him, so then the people who don't trust anything, someone's done a video of us both, boom, boom. I'm an actor. I'm acting everything, yes. I'm the same person as Wasim Kempston. So some people can go down those rabbit holes, and we're in a situation now. If we were lied to about the Iraq invasion of weapons of mass destruction, if we were lied to about September 11th, if we were lied to about the true agendas of every conflict that we can, in our lifetime, look at, yeah? If we look at gassing, or the Panorama said that Assad, after he'd won the war, was gassing his own people. Why would he do that? He's just won the war, yeah? He's already won. But all of these different things, if they've lied about all these things, why would they be telling the truth? That's why Ukraine, it's like, well, they're lying. You're lying about the conflict here. You're lying about the reasons for it. Well, it's for democracy. Bullshit. It was for democracy and saving lives in like the Afghanistan conflict. And you just have to look at WikiLeaks and look at Julian Assange and all the things they exposed. It's lie, 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 lie.
I had a good quote the other day. Somebody said, if the mainstream media tells you that it's sunny outside, you better go make sure it's not raining.
Because it is, yeah.
Because
whatever
they literally lie to you about everything.
But this is the importance of citizen journalism, man.
Yeah. Tommy, I wanted to get into a little bit about some of the altercations that you've had on camera. Some of the ones that have been caught on camera, where you've had fights with people and when people have threatened you. Have there been any off camera that people haven't seen where you've been genuinely threatened?
Yeah, loads. Yeah.
Because I mean, if you're,
there's been times
you must be worried walking around by yourself. You know,
I walk everywhere by myself.
Yeah.
So I'll give up on that. So and there was a time I got battered, man. My face was rearranged. I got so confident. So I mean, I knew from early time in Luton, growing up in Luton, you show them any fear, they'll walk all over it. Yeah? You have to stand up for yourself.
Prison politics in those places, bro.
You have to, man. So I could be, and they have to know you're gonna. So if someone's going to say something, they'll think, well, he's going to have a fight with you. Mm-hmm. So don't say it or shut your mouth. Yeah. And I've been in supermarkets. As soon as someone says something, I said, get the fuck outside. Get outside. Yeah. And I'll start screaming, come outside, bruv. Stop shouting shit. And then most of the time their asses go. Most of the time. Yeah. But when I remember I used to have a sunbed shop in Luton Town Centre when I started DDL. So I had a car of them pull up out there and I just come outside the shop. Come on then, get out your car, bruv. And another time then, so I'm at a service station in Luton, in the motorway, and I'm crossing, and I've got 3 Pakistanis shouting at me from the car. So I was like, fuck off, lads, yeah? But prior to this, I've had a meeting with the lead imam in Luton. So the lead radical imam called us on a meeting, and I went on the meeting, and at this time, stuff was hot in Luton, yeah? There was the mosque got blown up, there were houses getting blown up, there was 26 fire bombings, there was constant conflict. But for every action, there was a reaction at the time, yeah? So the imam called us for a meeting, I think taxis got done, and the imam called us for a meeting and said, we've all got to live here. I said, I know. Well, you jump out of a car on us, someone's jumping out of a car on you, basically, yeah? You're not beating us into silence. That's it, all right? So we want to walk the town, and he said, Tommy, we're going to make sure you can walk the town. And that was leading him. I said, I don't need your permission to walk the town, yeah?
Yeah.
He goes, no, what I'm saying is we have an influence over our community, and you will be able to walk the town. I said, I'll be, and then that's happened. And then literally they do have an influence over their community. Yeah. I'm then walking across this service station. I get down towards, and this car's following me and flashing lights. In the end, I pulled in, I get out. Oh, I got battered, man.
Really?
Absolutely battered. I woke up unconscious and some blokes pulled over and stopped it as they're all jumping on me. And my face, I had lumps out my face.
What, they just followed you around, jumped
They were following me, flashing the lights. I pulled over, got out of the car,
Yeah.
What? Because I was driving, it was near where I lived. So I got out of the car, and then just got battered, man. Filled in, absolutely bad. And then my face was fucked. And then I get to the hospital, I get taken to hospital. When ambulance comes, I get taken to hospital from the side of the road. But if the man said, if I hadn't stopped my car, you'd be dead. They'd have killed you. And then I get a phone call next day from the imam. Tommy, I said, yeah. He said, that wasn't Luton Muslims. But he was worried, thinking if this has happened to him, people are going to want to react to it. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, I said, growing up in Luton, some people question me. I get questioned all the time about certain things I do. I said, I know how to survive. I know what I need to do to survive. Yeah. And I'm not backing down. And that doesn't mean I want aggression, I want violence. Nigel Farage probably has a detail that costs £500,000 a year in security. So he doesn't get into punch-ups. Not that you probably have one, but he doesn't get into punch-ups. I don't have that. I live my life and I still go where I want to go. And I had an incident. I moved where my family had moved to. I went there and I went to the train station. I was getting a train back into Luton. And when I got to the train station, I stood on the train tracks and there's a Pakistani Muslim taxi rank there. And they're all shouting at me over the train tracks. I was like, fuck off. And there's like 10 of them all shouting and giving it. The next day, I just went straight to the taxi rank. Next day, I walked in on my own. I said, tell your man who was working here last night, ring him up, tell him I'm here. And the bloke's like, what? I said, ring the man that was sitting in here last night, because he come out of the office giving it. Ring him up and tell him where I'm here now, and I want to sort it out with him now. I've come on my own. And then the bloke says, can you come back here at 1 o'clock? I said, I'll come back at 1 o'clock. So I left, come back at 1 o'clock. I pull up, the owner of the taxi rank's there. He goes, Tommy, what's going on? I said, what's going on is I come here yesterday to get a taxi on my own. Yeah, I come here yesterday to get a train, and your taxi drivers all come out giving it, threatening me, shouting about they're going to kill me and that. So I've come back to sort it out with the man who was running the office here last night. He said, and I said, I could have come here with 200 men. Yeah, I haven't. I've come here on my own. I want to sort it out with him. And then he said, Tommy, you have my word. None of my taxi drivers going to say another word to you. He was really nice, man. The owner of the taxi rank was really nice, Muslim gentleman. I said, bro, I just want to be, if I'm going to get a train, I'm going to get a train. I'm not picking fights for your taxi drivers. I'm not going to have them think they're going to intimidate me for my life, because essentially I'd have to keep running for the rest of my life. So, and he was really nice. He said there will be no problem, and there's never been a problem again. That was probably 6 years ago. There's never been a problem again from those. I see those taxi drivers all the time. They all nod. So, but if I'd have shown weakness to them,
it's prison politics, man. It's honestly, it's not for the faint-hearted. And one of the things when I think about you and the things that you go through is that you are a fighter in that sense. And do you think that there's an element of you that enjoys the scrap a little bit, because you're a football hooligan before it, and you enjoy the boxing and all of that? Do you think that there's an element of it that keeps you in the fight because there's something about getting your hands dirty that you don't mind?
No, it's that. No, because sometimes I shit myself. Yeah. Telling the truth, I'm terrified at times. Terrified. It's just that I know, even when I go into prison, I have to become someone I'm not. Yeah. When I was younger, I might have wanted to be that person. I'm 40 years old. I'm a different man. I've got 3 kids. And at times I'm scared. Of course I am. But I know that I have to do that. I have to do that. What was the recent one? So I was with my kids. I don't know if you watched the video.
I saw that.
At the Luton football game. So I went to so I'm walking up, I've got my daughter on my arm, I come outside Luton football stadium, and what people are criticising my actions. I come outside and a man comes up and he verbally abuses me and threatens me and screams at me with my daughter there. She's got her friends from school there, yeah, with us. I take kids to football. If I let him do that so publicly, someone else is going to do it. Someone else is going to think I can do that to him. Yeah. If I don't like him, I'll scream at him. So the next day I turned up at his house. I knocked on his door. So I knocked at his mum and dad's house and said, tell him I'm here. You know, to get him on the phone and tell him I'm here. But I didn't, if he would have wanted a scrap, I'd had a scrap. I actually brought my kids with me. I said, he's going to come out and apologise to my kids. That's what he's going to do. And so my daughter needs to know that next week when she goes football with her dad, that this scumbag is not going to start screaming abuse him. And he weren't there and he wouldn't come. He shit himself. He rang the police. Then he rang up and he apologised to my daughter. But I use that as, do you think on a Sunday afternoon I want to be chasing down people's houses and turning up ready to fight them outside their houses? I had another one recently where they went to my mum's house. Muslims went to my mum's house. Essentially, you know those cars that I sent you the pictures of?
Yeah.
I'll find him next week. I'll find him next week. You'll see the video. I'll find him next week. If you want to drive 3 hours and you want to travel to my family's houses, I'm going to come see you. I don't want to. It could be a hostile situation for me, but I can't let that happen, because then it becomes an open floodgate. So if someone needs to know, so that groomers, when I was investigating the Telford grooming gangs, I've done an amazing 5-part series called The Rape of Britain. I've got episode 6 to do. You can watch it on Rumble. I spent 18 months with 12 girls, hearing their stories about the gangs, and we'd done a police-style investigation. When the men were named by 3 or more, we went after them and we went into their businesses and we showed people who they were. Now, at this time, my mum's neighbour said there was a car outside today videoing this little cul-de-sac, car of Asian men, they were videoing your house. So I've got the number plate, I've got a private investigator, I found out who owned the car. 2-hour drive from the house. Dudley was where the car was. I found out who the owner was. I looked at his social media. He runs a cricket club. I looked at his social media. He's friends with 3 of the men I'm investigating. So he's drove 2 hours, he's friends with them, and he's outside my mum's. So I went the next day to his front door, knocked on the door. And I said to the lads, I knocked on the door. I had about 30 lads with me, but that's because I'm going into a Muslim area. When I knocked, and his family answered, and he said, what are you doing here? I said, where is he? Is Imran. I said, where is he? He goes, he's not here. I said, ring him and tell him to come here. I said, tell your family I've got nothing to worry about here. No one here is here to do anything. I'm here to sort it out with your uncle, yeah? It was his uncle. I said, he's come to my mum's house. If he wants to drive 2 hours to my mum's house, I'm going to come here. Yeah. And every one of you need to know that. And then I said to the lads, if he comes outside and we square it off, then video it. If I win, we'll put the video online. If I don't, no one's ever going to see it. No one's ever seen it. And then he rang me up. He wouldn't come either. And he rang me up and he said, I sold the car. I said, bullshit, mate. Stop chatting shit. You've been caught. You were seen by the neighbour. But you need to know, and your grooming gangs and all your little wrong-uns need to know, you overstep the mark of going to family properties. Anyone can do that. I don't want to do that. I said to his family, they're really nice. Their nephew was really nice. I said, listen, and then I said, I will not share any of this footage or image of your house online now, yeah? I just needed your uncle to know, don't come to my family's houses.
Yeah. You said you've been through some really dark moments. I can imagine you would have been as well. One of the moments that I think that would have been the most dark, when I think about it, is when you were in prison and you were on lockdown for quite a while, and you had people outside your cell threatening you. I mean, that must have been scary.
So I'd done 22 weeks on solitary confinement in 2011. I was fine, madly. It was all right. It didn't affect me. It affected me a bit, but not like 2017 you were talking about. I went to jail. I was outside the Leeds Crown Court, and I asked some Pakistani grooming gangs. There was 30 of them on trial. They all got convicted. One of them never faced justice. He got on a plane. But as they're walking in, I said, how do you feel about your verdict? I made a live stream video where I talked about everything I talked about was in the public domain. Yeah? I named the men. I asked journalists why they're continually harassing us. I said, why do you follow me? Because they do. They follow me on holiday. I've caught them in bushes. I said, why do you follow me when I talk about these gangs? These men have been on bail for 2 years. I've looked into them. They're running chicken shops and they still have contact with children. Why don't you follow them or harass them instead of harassing us? I made this video. I get arrested outside the court. Within 2 hours, I'm put before the judge and sentenced to 13 months in prison. Yeah? Insane. Right? I was thinking, what the fuck? What is going on? I got to jail, transferred to HMP Hull, very low, 5% Muslim population. I was sound. Yeah? Was in there for 2 weeks. All hell's blown off outside that I don't know about. A Free Tommy movement started. People were outraged that they'd put reporting restrictions on the fact I was in prison. People were hearing I got sentenced to 13 months. So people were outraged. They then moved me from HMP Hull to HMP Onley. And on the way there, I think, well, there must be something organised. Onley has got the highest Muslim population of any prisons in the UK. More Muslims than anywhere. 35% in that prison. So they get me there, I sit down with the governor. And he, as soon as I got there, and he says, I said, what's sorted? And he says, you're going to be in danger here. I said, yeah, no shit. Yeah, you've brought me here. I didn't bring myself here. I was all right in Hull. Yeah. So he said, yeah, you're going to have to self-isolate. I said, self-isolate? He said, yeah, you can self-isolate and then we'll lock your cell all the time. I said, I'm not self-isolating. What are you talking about? He said, well, you're going to be in danger. I said, that's your problem, bruv. Like, not my problem. I said, so where are you putting me? He said, we're going to put you on the wing there. I said, sound. When you open my door, I'm coming straight out of it. I said, and I'm going to come straight out of it and defend myself. That's what I'm going to do, because I have to, yeah? But I'm not locking myself away. I haven't done anything to warrant locking myself away. If you've got I said, I haven't done anything to be ashamed of. So, and then he said, well, if you're not going to self-isolate, then we're going to put you down the block. I said, well, why did you bring me here? Yeah, the block in prison is usually in the basement, underground of the jail. And it's where you go if you stab someone in jail, if you hurt someone, you go to the block. So in the normal prison cell, you'll have a bed with a normal bed, and you'll have a TV, and you'll have wardrobe and little things in your cell, yeah? In the block, you have a blue mat. No electricity, usually, depends what jail you're in. No electricity, just a blue mat, that thick, that you lay on, yeah? Because you're there for punishment. And you're there maximum. You're maximum only allowed in there for 28 days because of mental health. Yeah, I've done a year in there. Yeah, so they put me in there, and when they put me in there, it was quite. The World Cup's starting in a week. The World Cup was starting. Yeah, I love my football, so I'm in jail anyway. I'm doing 13 months, and they've transferred me to this prison. I was fine in Hull. Yeah, I could come out of my cell. They had me on the hospital wing in Hull. I was allowed out for 2 hours a day. I'd come out, socialise. I was all right, man. But then they moved me to here, and then they put me on 23 and a half hour bang up down the block. Now in the block, it's like a square hub of cells, and then there's a little courtyard in the middle. So for 30 minutes a day, you only get out, so you don't see anyone else. You get out and then you walk around this courtyard for 30 minutes. But looking onto the courtyard through all the shutters is each cell. So I'd come out onto it, like, that was my moment. That was my moment to preach. It's all Muslims down there, yeah? So I think the first day I come out, I said, Islam is the cancer I am the fucking cure, lads. Yeah. And then I can hear some other people chuckling. And then I'm talking to everyone, and that's my moment, yeah. So I'm shouting through saying, nah. And everyone's arguing. By the end of my time in that going down that block, I had a right relationship with some of them. We were having a laugh at it. But as I got nicked for that, they nicked me. They give me a nicking for racial religious hatred. I said, we haven't got blasphemy laws in this country, yeah. If I want to talk about Islam, I will, yeah.
People piss on Jesus Christ things.
Yeah, no one cares. But you want to nick me. So I then said to the governor, I'm not eating or drinking. Yeah, you're fucked. So because shit's blowing up massive outside. Yeah, so I'm not eating or drinking until I get my rights. Yeah, my rights. I haven't done anything wrong here. I'm here. All them lot have done something wrong. I've got no TV. I've got no electricity, and I've got nothing. Yeah, 23.5-hour bang up. So it's nonsense, man. So I said I'm not eating or drinking. So then I had a protest in that sense, but the lad in the cell next door to me, he'd get put in the shower, they'd lock the door. I'd get put in the shower next to him, they'd lock the door. He'd bring his food, he'd bring snack bars down for me, and he'd put them underneath every morning in the shower. So I was still eating and I was still drinking, but
that's mad.
I was telling them I wasn't. Yeah. So 7 days has gone, and they're obviously thinking, fucking hell, he hasn't ate or drank.
Yeah. Serious, this guy's serious.
And I said, I'm going to end up in hospital. I'm going to collapse. And it's on you're going to have to explain yourself as a governor of this prison, yeah? So he calls me into a meeting, and England are kicking off that night. So the first England game's that night. And he calls me and he says, right, Tommy, Stephen, we're going to put you on the wing. I said, all right. And he said, but we're going to isolate you. Because my own little pride, yeah, I'm not self-isolating. I'd rather go out there and have a scrap, yeah? I'm not self-isolating. So when you get to jail, you can ask for protection. I'm never doing it. Because then you get put on numbers with paedophiles, yeah? So I'm not self-isolating. So he wrote me this form. He said, read that. He wanted me to sign it. And it said, they're putting me on the wing. I get a TV. When the prison's totally shut on lockdown for lunch between 1 and 2, they will bring me back down to the block, this area here, so I can have my exercise in the same place I was having it. I can have my exercise there. I can have my shower there and my phone call there. But you have to self-isolate. So he wrote this and he said, and then you can be on the wing and you've got a TV. Yeah, because I was pissed off about TV. TV may not sound bad. I said it is. If every other prisoner in jail, it's the injustice of it. If everyone else has got a TV, I want a TV, especially as the World Cup's on. So then he gives me this form and I look at it. I said, I'm not self-isolating. I thought I told you I'm not self-isolating. He said, well, you can go back to the cell down the block then. I said, put me back down the block then. And then they took me back down to the cell. And I was so pissed off. And then he's coming out later and they got me back out. And he changed the wording. We are isolating you. Yeah. He said, now will you sign it? And will you fucking eat and drink? Yeah. I said, how long till I get to the cell? And how long till kick-off for the England game? Yeah? And he's like, yeah, we'll put you can watch the game. I said, give me that fucking pen and paper. I was thinking England to play, man. Love Island's on.
Love Island. I wouldn't pitch you as a Love Island guy, you know.
When you're in jail,
I don't know, the veneers.
Yeah.
Are they veneers?
I got them knocked out in jail.
Oh, yeah.
In Woodhill. But I've gone to the cell then. So then they've put me on the wing. And they self-isolate me. So my door's locked all day, yeah? My door's locked all day. I look out, your window opens this much, yeah? So I open up my window. It's the building that's for the mosque. They put my cell here. It's fucking, they're at my window every day. In the end, I couldn't, and it was boiling summer. They're sticking shit through my window. Shit.
They're
bringing shit all smudged through my window. I'm like, what the fuck is going on, man? How have you put me here? I've got all this going on. Then I've had one of them come to the door. One of them's come to the door and he said, yeah, you know, Saif al-Islam. Saif al-Islam's the leader of the extremist group. He said he'd just come from Woodhill and he was making threats to me. I was like, fuck off, man. And then the screws have come to my door that week and they've opened the door and said, Tommy, where's your wife? And I said, like, they used to get me out in lunchtime because the whole prison had to be shut to escort me down to the block. So at the only time I could use the phone, which is bullshit again, because you should be able to use the phone in the evening. My ex-wife worked at a school. My kids were at school. So they get me out during the day. I was like, I can't ring any of my family. So I don't speak to my family for a week. Everyone gets to ring their family every day. So all these injustices were carrying a weight on me. The food, when they put me on this wing, the food's prepared by prisoners. It's all Muslims, yeah, who have all the best jobs because they're running all the jail, yeah. So it's all Muslims. So they used to open my door each day. And even when I was down the block, so I was eating anything that was packaged, mate, it was giving me biscuits now. But they'd open my cell and it'd have Yaxley Lennon and it'd be lift up and it's my dinner. It's like, fuck off, lads. See if I'm going to eat that. Fucking idiots. You can smuggle anything in chow. If you want, you can get drugs, you can get anything you want. So if you want rat poison or something, you're going to poison my food. I'm not thick. I'm not going to eat that, yeah? So, but then I only had £10 a week. So I had 5 tins of tuna a week. That's why I lost 40 pounds. I lost 40 pounds. So that weight of losing the weight, not speaking to my family, then the prison officer knocks at the door and says, "Where's your wife?" I said, "How the fuck am I meant to know where my wife is?" He said, "We've got intelligence. She's going to be attacked with acid." I'm like, "What?" Oh. And I said, and then he shuts the fucking door. Shuts the fucking door for 24 hours. They knocked on my wife's door and my mum's door. Give him a bit of paper. But the sad state of affairs is, I don't know if they had that intelligence. I think they're just fucking with my head afterwards. And it worked because I went in a jail one person, come out another.
Man, you can say what you want about me. You can say that what you're going to do to me, whatever. But when it comes to family...
I'll be honest with you, Muslims per se, everywhere I go, they've never... one case, they're not really Muslims, but I'd say practicing Muslims, yeah? I've had many of them come up and talk to me with my family. They're very respectfully, all the time.
This is the deeply uncomfortable conversation that I think we're having culturally, is that I love Muslim countries. I go there all the time. I spend a month in Turkey. I know you said they're like a shithole around there, but I disagree with that, man. I think that they're great countries, you know.
The leadership of the countries, the totalitarianism, the tyranny.
Yeah. But so yeah, I spent a month in Turkey last year, and they can be grumpy bastards sometimes, but yeah, they're good people, and you know, a lot of them are very family oriented, community oriented.
Turks are the best. Out of the Muslim community in the UK, Turks are sound.
Yeah, and even Middle Eastern countries, I'd love to go and travel to them, but it works there. It doesn't work here. You know, it works just fine there. But when
with their people who want it,
exactly right. But it's just like when people tried to come and import liberalism with that Qatar World Cup, I thought that was the funniest thing that ever happened because they just said, no fucking way.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, it's great. It's what we should do though.
We're not allowed to.
Yeah, 100%. Tommy, before we go to the locals only section where I'm going to ask you a few questions from the fans, cool. We've got your books here. I'm going to put that in the start of the podcast. I'm going to do a little video at the intro. I'm going to put the books in the start. Cool. There was one more thing I wanted to ask you about your documentary that's coming out in June. We're going to put the trailer to that right now. But tell me about the documentary.
Documentary Lawfare. This is that recent case has given me the opportunity to now tell a story of lawfare and abuse. And do we have freedom? Do we have free speech? Do we have freedom of assembly? And do we have freedom of the press? We don't. Yeah, I'm going to prove to the entire country we don't. And I don't just look at me. So some people would celebrate the fact that I lose my freedoms and I'm attacked and I'm imprisoned and all these different things unlawfully. They may enjoy it. This isn't about me. It's actually about them. Yeah, they're taking my rights. They're taking yours. They're going to abuse you. Like the goalposts continually shift on what you can and can't talk about, and the response and the abuse of power by the police and the control that they put on the public to limit their freedom of assembly is an absolute disgusting. Yeah, so I'm going to show people and interview people, and I tell a story, and it also gives me an opportunity to prove 2 cases I've had where I've been convicted, where I can prove now, actually, here's the truth. Here's the videos. Here's what they told you. Here's how they lied. I've got the judge lying, totally lying. So that's the film. It's come at a time where the whole world knows we have 2-tier policing in the UK. I'm going to use that opportunity for June the 1st for a massive rally. If anyone's upset with what's happening in this country, the path it's going down, even to do with the lockdowns, even to do with all the abuse of power, yeah, because we want our freedoms, and I want freedoms for even my enemies. Yeah, I want them to have freedom of speech. I don't want them to be abused by the police and the state or locked up. I believe we need more free speech and more discussions and difficult discussions by opposing views now more than ever. Yeah, you don't cancel the view and hide the view and delete it. You need those people arguing it out. Let the truth win. Let evil be shown. Let the truth come out. So that's what the film's about. I'm going to premiere it in London. Yeah, it's going to be good. It's a good film. It's a good film. I've got a lot of work still to do because anyone who's made a film knows making it make sense and cutting it down is the hardest job. I just think that's important. That's important. That's important. So I've got another 4 days next week. We're together with the editors, putting it together, but we're going to premiere it on a huge screen. What are you doing on 1st June?
I'm going to be in Bali.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's better than London.
Yeah, no, we're working on a documentary ourselves at the moment about communism in Cambodia. We went to Cambodia last year and we filmed interviews with the last remaining survivors of the Khmer Rouge in Cambodia, and we went to the prison camps. So
wicked, man.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get that done. But
they're the camps they want to bring in. Yeah, that's what's coming.
We don't want that.
Worldwide communism is what we're witnessing.
Yeah,
the push 100%. For communism worldwide.
Yeah, and we have to fight back in every single way.
Man, that's why I say again, Muslims will end up being our allies on many of those issues.
100%. I hope so anyway. But anyways, Tommy, we're going to go to the locals only section now. So anybody who wants to come and check that out can do so. I've got a few questions from our audience for you. Just 3. I know your time is precious, mate. I don't want to keep you here for too long, brother. The first one is from, I'm not even sure what this means, to be honest, but the first one is from Rational Bacon that says, ask him why he spent working class English donations on a documentary called Shalom.
I'll explain that.
Yep.
Yeah. So didn't ask for documentaries for Shalom. I made a film. In 2011, a Jewish man reached out to me from London, yeah? His name was Yisrael Shalom, yeah? I went and he reached out to me and said he was being persecuted and targeted. I've done an interview of him. It's in my Oxford Junior speech where he predicts he will be persecuted to death. That's what he predicts, yeah? So I sat down with him. I went and interviewed him. I said, let me bring 100 men or 50 men. Let me bring men to your house. His house kept getting smashed up, Nazi symbols sprayed on it. He was attacked in the street. What actually transpires? So this is all going on, I think, 2015 or something. Maybe 16, 17. I get contacted saying from a family member saying Yisrael's dead. And the instructions we've been given is to contact you and give you his house keys. I start filming. Right, let's go. So we go to his house, his medical records, his letters. So I've got his medical records. He was internally damaged. So he says after being kidnapped, yeah? Raped, basically, yeah.
Fucking
now if this sounds unbelievable to you, read the case in Paris where 30 men were brought to court. They kidnapped a Jew and had him for 3 weeks. The whole community had him. They tortured him to death.
Jesus fucking
So this is London, yeah? This house in London. Go there and he's got letters. He wrote to the Queen, begging her, please help me. He wrote to, do you know what he was told? The advice given to him from the council, move to a Jewish area. Move to a Jewish area. And he tells his story, and this started happening to him when he was visibly Jewish, which we've heard the phrase used recently. He actually lost his driver license, and when he lost his driver license and he had to walk, that's when he started getting spat at and attacked in the street. And before long, he became a target for the Islamic youth in the community, and they were continually targeting him. And they ended up persecuting him to death. Yeah. So I made a film about that. Now, in his records, he had wrote to everyone and anyone, politicians. I had all the backwards and forwards, but at the time I had 2 employees who were working for me on this documentary. They turned out working alongside Hope Not Hate and operating against us. And I'd done an expose documentary of Hope Not Hate, and Panodrama included covert recordings which proved these men, my old employees, were being blackmailed to help take me down by the British state, by left-wing organisations. So Shalom, those lads had all the paperwork. So I made the film, but I didn't have all the paperwork to back up exactly what I was saying, so I had to shelve the film. Now, what this little bitch is saying, who's just asked that question, Rational Bacon, you probably are a fucking bacon, yeah? What he's saying is because, well, you used all the donations. No, knobhead. I've made 5 films called The Rape of Britain. Do you know how much it hurt me having to shelve this film? I had to shelve the film, Shalom, because of all these anti-Jew scumbags like this moron, yeah? Oh, it's about the Jews. No, actually, Yisrael Shalom was a British man who was persecuted to death for being a Jew, yeah? I'm not going to stand by and allow that. I will stand with the British Jewish community. I'll stand with the British Hindu community of Leicester with the attacks they faced against the Islamic community. Do you know why I'd stand with them? Because most other arseholes like this clown are too scared to speak out against anything. It's easy to speak out against Jews. They're not going to come and beat you up. They're not going to batter you. They're not going to target your house. They're not going to do any of these things. When you start talking against Islam, let me read you, just while we're on this. Let me read you this morning. This is this morning. Hopefully the next English woman or child who gets raped by some N-word Jews or Muslims are Tommy Robinson's wife or children. No one says that shit, yeah, against you if you go out against the Jews, yeah? It's a difficult place to stand against the Islamic community and defend the Jews, yeah? But I'm not going to cower from that because of arseholes like him who want to criticise the fact that I was making a film showing what it's like to be a Jew in an Islamic area in Great Britain.
That answers that one.
Rational Bacon.
Brother.
You wanker. You carry on sitting and typing, you knobhead. I'll carry on leading the revolution.
Next one is from Zephyrus and says, I'd like to know why do you take the chance to stand out? And if you think that others who see the insanity are wiser to stay quiet, or if you think they should risk speaking out for what can seem to be a pointless effort against overwhelming forces in play.
I didn't check, again, I've gone through that. I didn't make the decision to stand out because I wore a mask and used a fake name. When that was thrust upon me, the Times newspaper run a headline, front page. Stephen Bird was the journalist. I still remember him. He come and met me. He went to my mum's house and my mum rang me, said, press her ear. And I thought, right, this is it. No one knew who Tom Robinson was. He come and met me in a pub on our estate in Luton. And he said, tomorrow your life's changed, son. Your life's about to change. Everyone's going to know who you are. And I remember it was a moment that I was so scared of for the whole year prior to that. I was petrified of it when that moment come, It was the best thing that could happen because it forced me into that position. I then sat on TV and started saying how I'm thinking. Before I was wearing a mask and sort of secretly doing it, reading speeches. And it was probably the best thing that could happen for our cause. Probably it directed my life in a certain way. What do I say to other people? If you've got you've got to think of your family, yeah? You've got to think of yourself at the same time. I fully understand that. So there are lots of people like me now. It's not just me. There's a hell of a lot of people and a lot of platforms and a lot of people having these discussions. You don't necessarily need to support their work. Yeah, support them in doing it because they've already risked it. So many people have took the risk. Lawrence Fox's life's been destroyed. Calvin Robinson's life's been destroyed. So many commentators. Katie Hopkins' life's been absolutely destroyed. Support them. Yeah, They're still saying it. They're sending a message that they're not backing down. They're still saying it. Would I want my son to take this stance and start speaking about these issues? No, of course I wouldn't. So would I advise you to? We do need to speak up. People need to speak up. But you need to be in a position to do that. First and foremost, you should, I guess, protect your family.
Yeah.
You don't have to if other people are doing it. When I started my activism, no one else was doing it. Yeah, no one else. If there was someone else saying it, I'd just have followed them.
It's not for the faint-hearted.
No, it's difficult.
If you want to be dumb, you got to be tough.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's not going to be easy, but there's so many people now. It's not a lonely place anymore.
Yeah. Last one I've got for you, brother. How has religion informed your work? How do we approach the immigration issue with humility, respect, compassion, but remain steadfast and firm in our philosophy? What is the end goal that Tommy hopes to achieve with EDL? So religion, how does that inform? How do we remain with compassion and respect? And then what's the end goal?
We remain with compassion and respect by separating Muslims from the idea of Islam. Muslims are people. If you hate them, it's bad. Yeah, Islam's an idea. It's your God-given right to criticise that idea. Muhammad was a warrior from 1400 years ago, a very immoral man. It's your right to criticise him and pick fault with him. You can pick up the Quran the same way you can pick up the Bible. It's your right to discuss that. Yeah, if you separate that idea and standing passionately against that idea and that influence of Islam from the individual people who many of them don't follow it to the word, many of them are born into it, then you can have the debate and have the discussion without having a hatred for the individual people or the followers of Islam. I say the followers of Islam are the first victims of Islam. I don't hate them. I love them. Many of them. Many of the people I've grown up, and I say it many times, some of the best people I've met growing up in my life in Luton are Muslim people, and I love them, yeah? But that's not because they're Muslim and follow Islam. I love them as people, yeah? The good points in their life is not because they follow that book. They're just good individuals. So the argument from people saying, oh, well, yeah, my taxi driver's a nice bloke or my kebab shop worker, well, that doesn't mean Islam's good. Yeah. It doesn't mean the influence. So that's how the influence of religion. My mum is a devout Catholic. I despise the Catholic Church for what they allowed to happen with paedophilia. I guess I was as lost as anyone else with looking for faith and trying to find faith. The more I've witnessed the attack on Christianity, the more it draws me to Christianity. The more I see the attack on symbolism of Christ, the attack on people, even the cutting out of mainstream media when someone mentions Jesus with celebrities and they bomb it and cut it out. And the more I've seen the rise of Satanism, you see it now. You see the symbols everywhere. The more I looked into that, I thought, well, if there's this evil, there must be this good. If they're attacking this, there must be this. So it sort of has pushed me further because I used to class myself as non-religious. I used to say you don't have to follow the 10 Commandments to believe they're a good prospect for life that we should live by. Yeah, you don't have to be a devout Christian to say this is a good philosophy for our country and our life, and it's what built the foundations of this nation. It's what's made us the country. I know that I had an interview with Lord Pearson the other day, and someone said Lord Pearson, who was was it Baptist Union. Someone said to the Queen, what has made Britain the country it is? And she said, the Bible. She said, the Bible. So, look, Christianity is I've been drawn more towards the fact that the destruction of Christianity is what's destroyed our country. A country that knows who they are and has faith in their identity and their religion will not allow the abuses that's happened here. So I don't believe it'll happen in Poland the way it's happened here. I went to a March for Jesus in Poland. It was unreal, man. I just felt, like, as I was walking, I felt the power. I felt it, man. And I felt it in the sense because the Polish understand what it's like to lose their identity in country because they were off the map for, 40, 60 years. They've always been outnumbered 50-1 in every war. They know what it's like. They know they need to fight for who they are in their country, and they don't feel ashamed of that. They feel... I remember walking and I said, the hairs on the back of my neck are standing up. Yeah? I could feel the strength in it. So... that's what it's done. I think that you just separate and you can disagree with Islam, hate Islam, you can despise Islam, mock Islam without hating individuals.
Beautiful way to finish, brother. Tommy Robinson.
Cheers, man.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, bro.